Today, we're gonna make a quick Indian-inspired dish called Chickpea Chole. Let's go. Chickpea Chole is a vegetarian recipe that's quick and easy and super delicious. This recipe is for 2 or 3 people, but you can easily double or triple it for as many people as you need. So this is 1 small onion. It's a small onion, so I would say a medium size.
What?
That doesn't make sense. But I'm not talking small like this. I don't know, baseball. Actually, it's probably like a handball or a racquetball. Next ingredient, guys, would be a tablespoon of chopped fresh ginger. A lot of people use a spoon to clean this off. I tend to find this much faster for me. You lose a little bit more than when you use a spoon, but I prefer the knife. So you choose what you're comfortable with. You just try to take off most of the skin as you possibly can. A young piece of ginger is going to be juicy and easy to cut. Compared to an older piece of ginger, you'll notice as soon as you cut it, it's going to get that strings. It's a lot harder to clean, a lot harder to cut. Now I'm probably gonna put in 2 cloves of garlic. I have really huge cloves, so I'm actually only gonna put 1. I start by smashing it down. There we go. And then I'm gonna dice it up. I'm gonna leave it very roughly chopped because when you smash the garlic, it actually activates the juices and it becomes much more fragrant and tastes better. Next step will be to peel the carrot. So I'm gonna add 2 carrots to the recipe, dice them up. Now cutting carrots isn't always the easiest thing to do, but I tend to cut it in half and then put the flat surface down. And that makes it a lot easier because they're not wobbling. Next, I'm going to chop some parsley. So I clean it. I try to not put all these big stalks in it. I'm probably gonna do about 1/4 cup. So I'd say it's about 1/4 of a big bunch. And some of the parsley is to taste. If you love that fresh parsley taste, you can add a little more. It's not gonna make or break the dish. The best way to chop parsley is to try to get it all into a tight little ball. Use your knuckles as a guide. Quick, short, little chops. You can stop and regather and then go back over it. Perfect. The next step that I do when I'm cooking at home is I really get into the prep of things. So I'm gonna open up my cans now before I start sauteing. See if we know how to use this can opener.
Yeah, I open the can with my can opener.
First try?
It cuts it from the side.
Oh, that's why I didn't even see it happening.
And your can doesn't cut your fingers. Now touch it.
That's amazing. It's like you can almost put it right back on perfectly. Although you should never do that. Once you open a can, you empty your ingredients out of the can. Little tomato paste. You only need about maybe a tablespoon. Next step, I'm gonna dice my tomato. I have 1 Roma plum tomato. We are ready to start. We have all of our ingredients all prepped and ready to roll. So this chole spice mix is Indian-inspired dish that I learned years ago, and its basis is in Ayurvedic cooking, so it's very healthy, it's very warming, and it's a very fulfilling meal. You can eat it as a main dish, you can eat it as a side, you can eat it with bread. It's very versatile. Off the top of my head, the spice mix includes some turmeric, some cumin, a little garam masala, paprika, chili powder, coriander. Got about 10, maybe 11 ingredients in it. But if you'd like to save some time and for your convenience, we have this pre-mix. Just click the link below to see all of our different spice mixes that we offer. So we're gonna start with a little olive oil in the pan that's been heating up. I'm gonna get a good amount because we're gonna slow saute some of these vegetables. I prefer to use a cast iron because that's just my style of cooking. But any pan will do.
Can you do it in a pot?
You can do it in a pot, small one. I mean, you have to base it on the amount of people you're cooking for. But 1 can of beans isn't going to take up much space. So I start by sauteing the onion, the ginger, and the garlic. Initially, I heat up the pan so it gets hot, and then I turn the flame down a little bit once it gets up to temperature. And I don't want to cook this too fast. I kind of want it to soften up, and I want to retain the flavor of these ingredients. So if you cook them too fast, they're going to crisp on the outside, and then the inside's going to stay hard. So you kind of want to do this on a medium heat, have it be even, so everything's getting cooked. A little translucent. You kind of want to open up the flavor of these 3 ingredients. A little salt and pepper. I tend to salt as I go, so I don't do a lot at the beginning. Fresh ground is great. You don't need too much. It tends to get very spicy, especially with the spice mix we're adding. It has a little bit of a kick. Now, if you start seeing them get stuck to the bottom of the pan, you probably need to lower your flame, maybe add a little bit more oil. Can't be shy with those kind of things. Here we go. This is what we're looking for. It's starting to get a little crispy, but it's definitely translucent. And you can't smell this, but I can. And it's really fragrant and the flavors are really coming together. Now is the time to add some of the other ingredients. Start with the carrots, because they need to gather this flavor up and cook down a little bit because they're raw. Do a quick rinse of the beans, throw them in there. Oops, the last one, it's gonna happen. Next, I'm gonna add my diced tomato. I'm just gonna let the temperature of the pan come back up a little bit after adding ingredients. It brings it down just a little bit. A tablespoon of tomato paste and a cup of water. I'm gonna do 2 tablespoons of the mix to this. You wanna add more to taste. See how the spice mixture and the tomato paste gets a little thick? So you just wanna throw this together, mix it all up, make sure it gets evenly distributed. And then lower your temperature to low. Your flame goes to low. You want it to slowly simmer. You don't necessarily want it to evaporate.
Do you put a cover or not?
I think it depends. I'm going to leave this uncovered initially to thicken it up, to have the chickpeas absorb the flavor, to have the carrots cook down. The consistency depends on your liking. So I would like it to get a little bit thicker than this, over some rice maybe. But you can also add a little bit more water if you feel that the 2 tablespoons of spice mix were too much. And then the next time you just adjust. Here we are, party people. Simmered for about 20 minutes. Give it a taste. Mine, personally, needs a little bit more salt, so I'm gonna add it. Probably another teaspoon, sorry. This is how I like the consistency. It's nice and thick, but it's not dry. If you want it to be a little more soupy, you add a little bit more water. Just know every time you add water, you may want to adjust the spice, whether it's a spice mix or a little bit more salt. So just always taste as you go. Here we go, guys. The finished plate. I added some parsley. I'm about to make some white rice, and it's a complete meal. The links for the recipe and the link for the spice mix are in the description below. Manja. Eat up. Bon appetit. Dig in.